Well, hello and welcome to Curless Mania. We have a very special episode again for you on this channel. I have a very esteemed gentleman on the channel tonight. His name is Grant Arthur. You've probably seen him. I mean, you've probably seen him on, Contrarians. You've probably seen him on his own channel, Grant's Rock Warehouse. You've probably seen him on Sea of Tranquility, for God's sakes.
Last night, by the way.
Right? What was the
Yeah.
last thing you did with Sea of Tranquility?
Well, I was on Hudson Valley Squares last night. Martin and I were on Hudson Valley Squares last night.
All right. Well, that's really that's really esteemed company there. That's
Yeah, I
wow.
guess. Yeah.
All right. So that's great. So anyway, so yeah, Grant knows his stuff. He's usually the host, so this is weird for me to be hosting and not him because I'm usually deferring to him as the host. But he does this all the time. This is what he does, and I'm really psyched to have him on the channel. And I said to Grant, I said, look, why don't we do a ranking? I haven't done a ranking in a really long time. So why don't we do a ranking? And the first band that I thought of was what I have on my shirt.
There you go. Wearing the colors.
That's right. That's right. So I just was like, one of my favorite bands of all time. And every time I have conversations with friends and over like music friends over
Mhm.
dinner or drinks or whatever, this comes up a lot. Like, try to rank the Police albums. What do you think? What is your ranking? And it's always interesting because everyone's different. So I thought, what better, subject to tackle with Grant than ranking the Police?
I love the police.
So we are gonna do 1 to 5 or 5 to 1, and we didn't compare notes. And I'm gonna hand it over to Grant right now and just say,
All
let's
right.
let's get started. Why not? Let's jump into it. What is your number 5?
All right. Well, we're starting, but before I start with my ranking, I want to say that there's not a bad album in the bunch. If you look at the police, though, they grew as a band. So there might be some records you like more than others, but I think I look at the police like this. They kind of were like a bell curve. They started out, but even though there's not a bad album, so depends on how you interpret this. They're
Mhm.
kind of like a bell curve for me. So they kind of go up, go like that. Kind of like the I'm gonna say Sly and the Family Stone catalog, kind of like that. But that is an exaggerated bell curve, okay?
Right.
These records really, they were just the police knew what they were doing right out of the gate. Okay.
Mhm.
Over time, they kind of tweaked what they had, refined it, perfected it. Okay.
Right. Right.
As the record company poured more money into them, they were able to pour more money into the records, make them more polished, make them sound better. They got Hugh Padgham, for God's sakes, as the engineer help produce that. Okay.
Absolutely.
But none of these records are bad. All of them are influential. All of them have affected people throughout the years. But when I look at the police, though, there is a certain area that I look at that I think is perfection. Like when they started out of the gate, they were on a pathway that they achieved their sound very quickly. That being said,
Agreed.
we're talking how many albums? 5 albums?
5 records.
5 records. All right. So my number five,
What is it? 78 to 83, I think. Is that right?
78 to 83. Yeah. Okay. This is really hard. This really is hard. And when I rank them, they have to fit somewhere. This has nothing to do with how really good or bad they are, but they have to go somewhere. So my number five is going to be the first album, Outlandos de Amor. Now, the fact is, there's some great tracks on here, but this is not fully realized police yet. We've got hints of it. You can look at, Roxanne. I'm thinking exactly. I'm thinking the track on here that really hints at the future is probably Can't Stand Losing You, because
Mhm.
that's very similar to what came after. And I think that's what they were trying to go for. But Next to You's great. So Lonely's great. Roxanne, of course, is great. Of course, I don't care if I hear Roxanne again. I think I've been Roxanne out.
Yeah.
But Whole of My Life, Peanuts. The only song on this record that's kind of Be My Girl Sally, I can skip over that. I know. Give Andy Summers some love. It's fine. But Born in the 50s is great. Truth Hits Everybody. But the production, there's a lot of things that I look at. Sequencing, the production, the songwriting, the instrumentation. They didn't have any money on this record. That doesn't mean it's bad by any means, but it's not fully realized Police. In my monkey brain, when I think Police, there's a certain era and a certain sound that I hear. So it's my number five because it's not fully realized, but still a great record.
Absolutely. And I have to reiterate your comments, and I should have said this earlier as well, that there really I couldn't agree more that there's not a bad Police record. And that's why this exercise is so difficult.
I mean,
Um,
if you look at this, and probably some people are going to go, "Oh, Grant, you're absolutely out of your mind." I mean,
right.
you're likened to that if you're really into post punk. I don't want to, I guess, new wave. Yeah, this is probably the most post punk new wave effort. So you
Mhm.
might look at it like, oh, this was the best. You look
Mhm.
at all those other records, by the time they got the Synchronicity and they're all polished, oh,
Mhm.
no, that's no good. But
Right.
for
Right.
me, I like this record, but it's my number five. So,
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go to my number 5 then,
okay.
and without further ado, and it is Outlandos to More as well. So
Well,
I
there
swear
you
we
go.
didn't compare notes, folks. I
Nope.
swear. And in fact, I this was up my list further at one time, and then I brought it back down again for the same reasons I feel like I'm going to repeat exactly what you said, but I'm going to go to my notes here. I did
Yeah.
make some notes, and I have my notes say kinetic energy of punk,
Mhm.
an excellent debut. Roxanne is a great single, although probably overplayed, as you said. First side is pretty great. So all these are positive comments. This is the bottom of my list. But I agree with you. They came in pretty fully formed. The songs survived until the reunion tour. They were still playing "Hole in My Life" in the reunion tour.
Yeah.
Um, but I have, as you said, I said the record fades a little toward the end. Sort of like almost like they ran out of songs. Where "Be My Girl Sally," like you mentioned in Mosaka Tango, or what is it called? Hold on,
Mosaka Tonga. That's fine,
Masoko
but
Tonga, yeah, which
I
is
don't want to
good.
interfere.
But
I don't want to interrupt, but
oh, go
if you
ahead.
look at all these Police records, there's always some filler on them,
Right,
except for one record that I'm going to get to. But they all have filler to some
right,
degree.
right.
I mean, Zenyatta, Mondatta, Sting has always said that most of that's just filler. There's
Mhm.
like a handful of tracks on there that, are really non-filler, but a lot of it's filler. And I can
Right,
hear that.
right.
There's filler on here too, but
Absolutely. So that's where I couldn't agree with you more that I said that they aren't fully blossomed yet. I have that written down. And the songs are very, they're just very uh they didn't have the budget. This isn't Hugh Padgham in the
right.
Caribbean. This is them at some studio they found in Surrey with a guy that just, owned a studio.
Yeah,
Nigel.
he was a physician.
Yes, exactly. And so he was doing this on the side. So I mean, it really. But that being said, there are friends of mine that put this at number one.
Right.
They love the raw energy, the punk, like you said, post punk energy of it, and the sort of immediacy of it. Where Next to You and So Lonely, and I mean, they're great songs. Roxanne, Hole in My Life, especially the first side, Peanuts. They just love that. So they're like, are you kidding? Outlandos is number one. So I mean, me putting this number five, they're having a problem with it. But I had to agree with all of your comments that you made. I mean, it's almost said the same exact thing, that it's not fully blossomed yet. It's not there quite. It's there, but it's not blossomed fully.
Right.
So that's my number 5 as well.
But I mean, you look at the reviews for this record. Rolling Stone gave it 4.
Mhm.
Sounds gave it a 3.5. Uncut gave it a 4. Village Voice, for crying out loud, gave it a B plus. I'm
Yeah.
sure that's probably Chris Gow, and he hates everything. He probably gave it a B plus. Great reviews. This was like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
But when we're comparing everything to each other in the same catalog, all of these have to land somewhere. And this is a great record, don't get me wrong. So
I'm the same way. I still think it's great, but it's got to go somewhere, like you said. So it's number 5 for me as well.
there you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
So how about you? How about your
Well,
4?
things start getting a little bit difficult here because this might be contrarian, but I'm going to have to go with my number 4 is Synchronicity. Now, a lot of people may think that this is the crowning achievement, but to me, they kind of got away from their core sound a little bit. Yeah, it's great. It seems a lot more. When I listen to this record, it seems very clean and not quite as adventurous than what came before. Um, it was their most successful record. You can't not argue that Every Breath You Take's a great song. King of Pain's great. Wrapped Around Your Finger is great. Synchronicity too. But the thing is with this record, it almost seems like Sting to me. It almost like I can hear this record and I can see Sting thinking, well, about time to launch that solo career. Boy, oh boy, I can just kind of feel it. I can feel it coming. The record is great. When this came out, I listened to it all summer. Holy crap, this is my number
Oh,
one
this
record.
was a hot record at the time. It was
Okay,
hot.
number one
Yeah.
record of 83. Well, this, okay, you're going to laugh. This and Brian Adams' Cut Like a Knife, loved them both.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So this record's great, but it kind of, it, it's just not as adventurous as I like. It's a little bit too smooth. It
Mhm.
sounds great.
Yeah.
The reggae influence, which I really like about the Police, is kind of gone. It's kind of left the building here.
Agreed. Yep.
Oh, what made
Yep.
the Police so unique and unusual is kind of gone here. I'm sure if they would have kept going, they could have produced some great stuff. I don't have any. This is a great record. Like I said, I loved this in 83. I loved it.
Mhm.
But when I look back at all these, I would have rated this much higher back in the day than I do now.
Mhm.
They have to go somewhere, ladies and gentlemen. And for me, it's got to be my number 4 because I'm telling you, it's a bell curve.
I
It's
see.
not a bad record. God knows what they would have done next, but if it would have been Don't Stand So Close to Me 86, we're not heading in the right direction.
No. 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 That's a great point.
That was truly horrible.
That's a great point. I mean, Stewart hurt himself playing polo or something, so they had to use a drum machine, and it's just like, really? Are you kidding me? Um, so I swear to God, people, we did not compare. I mean, I'm also with Synchronicity at number 4.
Okay.
So I swear, people, we did not compare notes.
Mhm.
But this one did move around my list a lot. I told Grant that my list changed literally a couple hours ago. I kept making a list, and this originally I was thinking about putting this last, and I thought I can't put it last. I just couldn't because it's like you said, it's really well done. It's well constructed. It's well recorded. It's it's very good in a lot of ways. But I go to my notes so I don't wander all over the place.
Don't wander. Don't
Okay.
wander.
I don't wanna wander, man, I wanna stay on point. So, Synchronicity, it pains me to put this so low. It pains me, but there is 100% Sting takeover is what I have here.
Well,
Almost almost
you got a
100%.
good point because its Sting is moving towards, you can just hear it.
Mhm.
You can just hear that he's moving towards that solo career.
Yeah.
The writing, I'm not saying the writing was on the wall, but as you look back on it,
Hmm.
you can kind of piece it together and go, yeah, I could see what you know, the Blue Turtles record, I could see where that's coming next, kind of, a little bit,
Right. A little. And
little.
you kind of say, and at the time I'm with you. I remember my friend had this album on cassette, and I remember looking forward to this album coming out. Like
Right.
I was a fan when this came out, and I was like, all right, a new Police album, all right. I was so excited.
Yep.
And I remember listening to it and just thinking it was the best thing ever. Like it was so
Well,
fantastic.
yeah, it was great.
And I was so excited. I listened to it over and over. But like you said, I agree that I don't know if it aged. Like you listen to it now and you go, okay, I like it, but it's not like this masterpiece that you thought it was in '83 kind of thing.
Right.
Um, so I have by this time, conflict was in full flight. It was getting difficult. They had complete separation in the house. I guess Stewart was playing drums upstairs. Andy
Hmm.
was in the main studio, and Sting was in the control room with Hugh. So they were completely separated when they were doing these tracks. And he said it was for the music and for the personalities. It was both. Um, I have Mother is annoying and not funny. I'm not a big fan of that track. That's the Andy Summers track, and apparently
Hmm.
Sting, of course, refused to sing it. Um, and Miss Grodenko is pretty good, but it's not like prime time Stuart Copeland. Sting, obviously, he talked Sting into singing that. And I apparently, but from all the story goes that Stewart was pushing him to sing that. Can you please sing it? Please sing this. And he said, no, please sing it. Please, come on, sing it. Okay, fine, I'll sing it. And he did, two takes and said, okay, that's it. I'm done. So he was really getting like an attitude by this time. Um,
Hmm.
and I have the rest of the Sting show. I'm, I'm a little tired of Every Breath You Take. Yeah, it's a good song, but I was even at the time I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. I wasn't like it's a good song, but it got overplayed. It played, I mean, it was on MTV every 5 seconds at that time.
Right.
Um, but I do have, and I'm not that, wrapped around your finger, okay. See in the
Oh,
Sahara,
well, I
Tea in
love
this
Wrapped Around Your Finger. I think it's brilliant.
the Tea in the Sahara, oh, pretty good, okay.
I
Uh,
love it.
but I
Hmm.
love Synchronicity 1 and 2, I think are awesome.
Hmm.
And I love King of Pain. I think King of Pain's a great song. Um, so I'm not a huge fan of side, and they did the whole like upbeat songs on side one and the mellower ones on side two, which is always kind of an interesting way to do it. So in any case, still a great record, still very well done, still a great band, still performing well. And there's enough songs on here to make it a very worthy album.
Hmm.
Um, but I have to put it somewhere, so it's at number 4.
I get it. I get it. Yeah. All right. Well, this is where my ranking's not going to make much. It's not
Will
going to
we
make much
diverge?
sense. It's not going to make much sense at this point because the next three,
These are the hardest ones.
these are
These are the
hard, but
toughest ones.
there's something about my second pick that won't make sense, but maybe I can make sense of it. All right.
Okay, okay.
My third one, I'm going to have to go with Regata de Blanc, and it should be higher. This is where the police became the police. Okay. Message in the Bottle is probably my favorite police song, one of the favorite, Regata de Blanc, but I still kind of hear filler on here, but not like I hear on the next one. But the next one we're going to talk about is so strong. The songs are so strong over the filler tracks that I cannot not. It has to be my number two. But this has got Message in the Bottle. Um, I think that Bring on the Night's kind of like filler, even though Sting did
Ooh,
that later.
ooh.
But
Oh, I don't disagree with that one, but okay.
right, it's all right for you. Walking on the Moon, the bed's too big without you is great.
Hmm.
Best songs, Message. Regatta de Blanc's fine. Walking on the Moon, bed's too big. I love Does Everyone Stare? Contact's great. I
Love
like
that. Love
Stewart's
Does Everyone Stare?
on here. Great. I love this record. I do love it because this is where the police arrived.
Hmm.
there's just something about the one I'm going to pick next that I love this. This could be my number one. This could be my number two. If you ask me tomorrow, it could change.
The next 3 are just
But
interchangeable.
you're asking me
Yeah.
today.
It's yeah, exactly.
So this is my number three today. But
Okay.
it's still strong. Andy Summers, I think, on here sounds great. I
Mhm.
do think Message in a Bottle, if you're talking quintessential police songs, when I think the police, I think Message in a Bottle. Some people may not agree. You might think, you know, something off of Synchronicity, something off you might think Roxanne. But for me, I think Message in a Bottle is where they really arrived, and that is the police to me.
Mhm.
Everything's great on it. I love this record, but there's just something about my next one that I like better.
I repeat, I love this record.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want anybody like to burn across my yard or burn my house down, so I have to be careful. But I think what Nigel Gray did on here, his engineering, his production, I think is great. I
Yeah, he
love
does a
it.
phenomenal job.
The album cover's great. I mean, it screams new wave for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Um, it's you're making me rank these things, and it's really impossible to rank.
Yeah. It's like trying to rank Rush, for God's sakes. It's like Rush is the
Rush
same way. I
is
feel
easy,
like
but this is not easy because the catalog is so small.
right. Exactly. Exactly. So no, I'm with you. This is really where it gets just hair pulling like tough, where you're like,
Mhm.
oh my God. Because the next 3 are just so all of them are so great in different ways.
And I
Uh,
want to say before we go on,
go
Tom,
ahead. Go ahead.
hate to interrupt, but if we did this years ago,
Hmm.
this was always my number one.
Which one?
Regata de Blanc
Regatta. Okay.
was
Okay.
my number. I thought this was,
But we're doing it today. So today it's
but
today,
years ago,
right.
number one. Anyway, go.
Well, today this is where our paths diverge.
See, I figured.
And I feel the exact same way about this album that you do about Regatta today. And that is Zenyatta Mondatta. I
Okay.
love this album.
Yeah.
I think it's excellent. And this one was the moved around the most this week. I was like, where am I going to put this album? And I had to listen to it again because I was like, originally I had it kind of low, and I was like, it's not low. It's really good. Um, so I when I listened to it again, I went, I can't put it. I got to move it up. So it actually because all right, let's get into it. The first side,
Just go.
I'm just losing. I can't. It's just so this is so difficult because the first side is like unassailable. I mean, come on, don't stand so close to me. Amazing, driven to tears, unbelievable. When the world is running down,
Yeah,
love it.
exactly.
Canary in a coal mine, awesome. Voices inside
Yes.
my head is an awesome groover. Bombs away, wow. I mean, it's like, come on, that first side is like nothing but bangers the whole time. Um, but the second side, again, like we talk about some of these records, and I think this is why I placed it where I did, is because my reasoning is that it was a little bit of a rush job. I
Hmm.
think they had a tour booked and they had to go on tour, and I think they ran out of time. They were literally mixing this album before right the day of they left. Um, and songs like, "Do do 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 da da," of course, great single. "Behind My Camel" is okay. It's an Andy Summers instrumental. "Man in a Suitcase" is good. "Shadows in the Rain" is it's okay. Um, "The Other Way of Stopping," it's okay again. So it's like the second side is like, is where things kind of fall down a little bit, just because I think they were kind of in a hurry. And I think they had to finish it quickly. Um, so let's see. And the whole story about "Behind My Camel," that Sting didn't want to do it and he hated the song, and he hid the tapes in the backyard or something like that. He took the tapes and buried them in the backyard, something like that. Um, so I reiterate, same exact thing you felt about Regatta. I love this record. I don't want people to be like, "Zenyatta, you're crazy." It is awesome. It's a very good album. Excellent. I just, it's just where it falls today. And I enjoy listening to it. it brings about, I think it's the first album that I owned by the Police, so you think it would rank even higher, but today it doesn't. So
All right. Excellent. All right. Well, that would be my number two would be Zenyatta.
yeah,
Only because, yes, it was a rush job. But when they rushed it, for some reason it clicked. The reviews for this record, All Music gave it 5 stars. Rolling Stone gave it 5 stars. For
yeah,
an album that was a rush job with a lots of filler, it got a lot of great reviews.
hmm
So, but this is where I think this was the peak of that reggae, rock, whatever you want to call their hybrid. This was the peak. This is where they perfected it.
hmm
And even the filler tracks on here are great because you can listen to them and
they are, they are.
you can go, oh my God, that is filler, but God dang, that's good. You are you on a Mac?
No, yeah, I should, yeah,
Well, I don't know.
it's working for you. Anyway,
Works for me.
uh,
Anyway, but look, Don't Stand So Close to Me is opens the record. Perfection. Come on. It is peak Police. Drip
amazing,
tears, and then it's
unbelievable,
right when the world is running down, segueing together. 1, 2, 3 punch, and then
so
Canary
good.
coal mine, a four-way punch.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah. No, I mean,
My
the first side is unreal. It's so good.
voices inside my head. I might say it's filler, but then again, I listen to it and go, yeah, that's not quite up to snuff, but my God, it's
But it's
damn
awesome.
good. There's like they sprinkled magic powder on it. I don't know. I can't
Yeah,
explain it. Bombs Away, Stuart Copeland. Always love Stuart Copeland
love
stuff.
it, love it.
Love the Clark Kent stuff. Love this. Do do do. Open side two. Great. Behind the camel. I don't have a problem with behind my camel.
Mhm.
Filler could be, but damn, that's great
But it's
filler.
cool. It's still cool.
Man in
Yeah.
a Suitcase is great.
hmm
Shadows in the Rain, even though I think didn't Sting do that later,
He
redid it.
did. He redid it for his
But
solo.
if I listen to this, I might think, man, it's probably filler. But think about this. I'm going to say this, Tom.
Good filler. It's good filler.
If this is filler, this is way better than other bands' filler. Their
Absolutely.
filler is so good that
It's high
it
level
stands
filler.
above the
It's up
rest.
here. It's high level.
It's high level filler. So when you listen to it, you're sitting here and you're going, yeah, that's great. Holy crap, that's great.
Mhm.
It's the whole album flows as a piece. I don't know. I
It's
think this is
great.
where they perfected everything.
hmm
As far as in that reggae, rock reggae thing. Perfect.
It's
Yeah,
it's arguable that maybe they're playing at their playing is at their height. Maybe,
I agree.
possibly.
And that might be the total sale for me
hmm
because you're listening to the way they play and you come from these songs that you would consider filler and you listen to it and go, damn.
Yep. Yep.
So there you go. Back in the day, though, Tom, this would be my number five. But
Okay.
now, as time goes on, because Synchronicity, I'm going to say, was probably my number two.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you my ranking once we're done of how everything used to be. But hey, things change as you get older and you appreciate things differently. I'm just saying.
Yeah. This might have been my number one back in the day. I might
I'm
have put it
surprised
first.
this ranks so high, but
Yeah. I might have put this number one back in the day. So there you go.
yeah.
Um, so all right. So is it my turn? Am I up?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Number two, right?
Hmm.
All right. Number two is, and again, this is all very difficult. These last three are very difficult to place. My number two is Ghost in the Machine.
Yeah.
And there's, I mean, believe me, in any other day, this could be number one any point easily. I mean, these next two are just they're so interchangeable for me. Um, but there's something about Ghost in the Machine, and there's some people that don't love this record. I have a lot of friends who don't rank this album that high.
Well,
They think it's kind of annoying with the saxophones and that they were going off course a little bit and that it's kind of dark and they don't really like that part of it. But I love that part of it.
um,
That's that's what I love about it.
yep.
Um, so I have something about this record that I can't put my finger on. That's my first note. No, but not everyone agrees with me on that. I just think it's just something special about it. There's a darkness creeping in, and we've talked about this album a little bit on other episodes, but Grant and I have. But there's a little darkness creeping in on some of the songs,
Mhm.
but it's still energetic police. We still got the police, still the police. Um, we got some keyboards in there. We got some saxophones. Sting is playing some sax. Um, it's the first album with Hugh Padgham as producer, so there's a up the whole like enterprise gets lifted by this awesome production and engineering. It sounds amazing. Um, I mean, the songs. Come on, I mean, Spirits of Material World, amazing. Every little thing she does is magic, unreal, great pop song. Invisible Sun, come on, another great song. Hungry
Come
for
at
You.
me, Tom. Come at me.
Come on, Hungry for You. I mean, I learned French because of that song. Demolition Man, come on. I mean, the playing on that is just and so energetic. It's like things gonna explode.
Mhm.
Too much information. Again, we talk about Police does filler really well. Even songs that seem like they could be kind of fillerish, they're great because they
See,
play them so well. I
I
mean,
don't see any filler on this record at all. Me personally,
yeah, I mean, like too much information's kind of a vamp, but it's too much information. I mean, it's so great. Rehumanize Yourself, I love that. One World, Not Three, great, another great groove. One World is enough for all of us. And I love those saxes. Dit, 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 dit. I mean, that's just so cool. And then,
mhm,
but to me, the Omega Man, which is a Andy Summers track, Secret Journey,
classic.
and Darkness. The three songs at the end are like, oh, they just cap it off perfectly. And there's something about those songs that I can't place it really, but they're just great. Secret Journey just sticks in my head, and it's got this atmosphere that's great. Uh, anyway, I could just gush about this forever. I love this record. It's
Mm.
number two, but it could be number one at any day. It's amazing. So Ghost in the Machine is my number. I don't know what else to say about it. It's a really good record. It's my
No,
number.
I think it's perfect police album. Yeah, we've lost a lot of that reggae influence, but what we lost, Hugh Padgham made up for it. Of course, this is my number one. I think back in the day, this was my number five. I couldn't stand this record when it came out because it
Really?
was such
Okay.
a departure from
It was
what.
a different thing. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when I listen to it now, what I like about it is the sound of the record. It's dark. The recording is wonderful. There's a lot going on this record. It's not. There's a lot of overdubs, but I think it still holds up. This is one of the records where Andy Summers' contributions and Stuart Copeland's contributions fit perfectly on here.
They
They
do.
don't stand out. Sting could have wrote them. You know what I mean? We've
Yeah.
had other songs in the past where you go, "Oh yeah, that's Stuart Copeland song," or
Right.
"Oh yeah, that's an Andy Summers song." Here, everything is seamless. The sequencing is great. Spirits in the Material World, a classic. What a way to open the record. Everything, little thing she does is magic, is pop perfection. Probably their greatest single, maybe,
Could
probably,
be. Could
maybe.
be. Yeah. Yeah.
When I hear it, I never turn it off.
Never.
Invisible Sun is a classic. Hungry for You, classic. Demolition Man, holy crap. Side one is over and you're still going, my God. That
Yeah.
is great. Too much information leads off side two. Energetic. It's just a wonderful opener. Rehumanize Yourself. Sting, Stuart Copeland song. I love it. One World, Not Three. I can go through all the tracks, but this as a record, as an artistic statement, I think is the highlight of the police because all the other records, they're doing what they do, but this, they're stretching out, pushing the envelope. Sting is bringing in saxes. We're pushing the production. We've got Hugh Padgham in there. See, I think once they got nothing against Nigel Gray. I think Nigel Gray's great. Don't get me wrong, but I think they got Hugh in there. That might have made them a little bit more inspired.
I think
Not that
so.
they weren't inspired in Zenyatta. Zenyatta, they were touring a lot and then they cranked something out.
Hmm.
But these guys are so good, they can crank something out and it can be cohesive.
Hmm.
This isn't a product of cranking out, I don't think, was it? I mean,
No, it's
what was
not.
the
It's not.
time? What
They
was the
took their
time
time on this
frame on
one.
this?
I think they took their time on this. They weren't hurried at this point. Uh,
Hmm.
81.
Yeah,
Uh,
so I mean, they're putting out something every year,
yeah, Air Studios, Montserrat.
but there's something about the production on this
Yeah,
record that I like.
I agree. I agree.
It doesn't sound like any other Police album, but there's
Agreed.
something about it that just brings you in and doesn't let go. I can't put my finger on it, but I think it, as an artistic statement, as a cohesive work, I put this at my number one.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I just
When
can't.
I want to say this one more thing, Tom. When I listen to this, I have to listen to it as a whole piece, the whole thing.
Yeah, agreed. And did you see that where they put recently they released it with like different order? And did you see that?
No, I wouldn't like that.
There's something on like Apple Music where it's like it's a different order and it's got different. I'm like, what is this? Like,
No, I've
no,
never
no, no.
heard
The
that.
order was perfect as it was.
Right.
But yeah, I was trying to remember what the Stuart Copeland song was. It's Rehumanize Yourself was the Stuart song. Uh,
Darkness.
and
Oh,
Darkness
wait a minute.
or
Rehumanize is a Sting Stuart Copeland song, but
right.
Darkness is totally Stuart Copeland, and
Oh,
that
is it?
ends
Okay.
side two. But what a great way to end it! And like I said, if you look at Andy's work and Copeland's work on this, it's seamless with Sting's work. It
Yeah,
doesn't stick out. You would
exactly.
never know. Everything all
Exactly.
fits.
That's what's magical about this record. You can barely tell I mean, it's like that's why I had to look it up. It's like which one? I mean, that whole I can dream up schemes when I'm dreaming. I mean, it sounds like a Sting song.
Hey,
So
but Stuart Copeland can write song. Well, if you listen to Clark Kent
yeah,
or any of his soundtrack material, I mean,
yeah.
holy crap.
Rumblefish, come on. Um, so yeah, that takes us to number one, which from my number one is Regata de Blanc. And that's today. And I'm just going to echo a lot of the things that Grant already said. Essentially, that I feel that the singles. I mean, there's a lot of quintessential Police on this record. Just
Mhm.
message in a bottle, bring on the night, walking on the moon, bed's too big without you. And then I love, like you're saying, we just, the timing of our conversation was perfect. We were just talking about Stuart Copeland. I love the Stuart Copeland songs on this album. I
Mhm.
love Contact. I love Does Anyone Stare? Um,
Yep.
and it just feels to me, and then the song, the title track is just a barn burner. And they're playing, I mean, they're really excited making this record. You can tell, like, okay, we're actually a band that's we're a band that's be content to be contended with. We have a hit single. Now we're really going for the jugular on this album, and they do, and they've toured as well, so they're even tighter than they were.
Right.
And so they come out swinging on this record, and you can feel it. The energy just comes
Right.
off this album,
I totally agree.
and they're like you said, the reggae is very present on this album. There's a lot of heavy reggae going on, but on this one. Um, and I mean, No Time This Time. I remember, like, I was a drummer back in the day. I used to be like, I was trying to play No Time This Time. It's like that song. It feels like it's on 45. You're playing it. It feels like it's going double time on it. Um, but you're just like, wow, Stuart Copeland. That guy's like an unbelievable drummer. I listen to that song.
I had
Uh,
a
you
I
know?
don't want to interrupt, but I had a buddy back in high school that was really big into the police, big into Stuart Copeland. He could play, the guy was brilliant. In high school, he
Mhm.
could play all that stuff, all the Stuart Copeland licks, Neil
Nice.
Peart.
And he had the rototoms.
Well, he built
Yeah.
himself some timbales.
Right.
So he could do a build them out of PVC pipe and put heads on them.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, you don't, well, you just get different size PVC pipe and cut them, mount them, get the mounting hardware. You're good to go because it's made out of PVC. They sounded great. You
Right.
don't have to spend a lot on drums, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
But
come
yeah,
on.
he built his timbales all out of PVC and just put them on his kit.
Nice. Nice.
Tuned them up, baby. You're ready
Very,
to go.
very cool.
PVC works great for drums if you can do it.
Creative, man. I like that. It's a creative
Mhm.
drummer right there. Um, so yeah, so that's my number one. I had to go with that today. I mean, I didn't mention Death Wish. I love the song Death Wish as well.
Great.
Um, so yeah, so this album just again, all of these records, as we said a million times, I gotta say it again, they're all great in different ways. And when you're forced to rank them, I mean, I remember watching. Speaking of Sea of Tranquility, I remember watching Pete and Butch, was it when they
Yeah.
did Thin Lizzy, and he's just dying. He's like, oh my god, like he's dying because he has to place certain albums. It's like because it's so hard because there's so many good ones. The Police are the same way. You're just so, oh my god, how can I put Zenyatta this low? Like it's they're just they were a great band. I still love them to this day. What can I say? I mean, it's I still listen to them pretty often, actually. I mean, whenever if I'm at a loss, I'll be like, oh, I'll put on the Police.
Yeah, I've got like the message in a box set.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I pull. Well,
Yeah.
I think I do have the CDs individually, but I always play the box set because, you get all those extra bonus tracks, the B sides and
The B
stuff.
sides. Yeah.
And even,
Yeah.
we should mention that even the police B sides off of these records
Hold on a
are
second. I
great.
think I have
Oh,
it. I'm gonna show it. Hold on.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Bought this a while ago, but yeah, here it is.
Yeah, you can pick that up pretty cheap nowadays. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I think you can.
But it's got all the B
It's got
sides.
everything. It's got all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And while we're talking, even their B sides are great.
I
When you're sitting
know.
there going, "What's a B side?"
Yeah. Yeah, that's how good they were. They could put out B-sides that were like, oh, I like this one a lot.
I mean, they're
Uh,
kind of throwaways, but the thing is that the police were such great players. It was that chemistry between the three of them. You'll
yeah.
never see anything like it because it's only Stewart, Sting, and Andy that can do this. And even though those B sides could be considered throwaways, when you listen to them, you're going, my God, there's just some magic there. That's the whole thing with the police. There
Yeah.
was magic.
Definitely there was magic. I mean, even their early, like really raw stuff, the Fallout, Nothing Achieving, Dead End Job.
Yeah.
No one, no dead end job. Like they're really trying to be punk. It's hilarious.
I mean, if you can pick up for anybody watching, I'm just saying, if you're not into the police, you're not really familiar with it. I mean, God, the police broke up in 83. Well, they didn't really break up. They've never broken up.
Apparently.
But
Yeah.
83, the last hurrah, last record. But if you can find that message in a box set used or whatever, pick it
So
up
worth it.
because it's very worth it because it's a great set. So
Yeah.
I'm
And you're
just
right.
my 2 cents.
No, I'm glad we threw in the B-sides because it's true. There's a lot of B-sides and they're all pretty high quality, actually.
Mhm.
I mean, like you said, you can tell why they didn't make the record, but they're not horrible. They're not bad.
No, because
Um,
these guys could play anything. They're just brilliant.
yeah, they just had, like you said, they had that band chemistry, that magic. So,
You hear the police and instantaneously know who it is.
oh yeah, oh yeah, no question, no
Mhm.
question. And they were like the Beatles of the '80s. I mean, we were my friends and I. I have one good friend, Eric Zimmerman from New Jersey, and we were like the biggest Police fans, and we'd buy bootlegs in New
Mhm.
York. We would get all the B-sides, we'd buy the singles to get the B-sides. It was like one of those where like they were your band. Like it was like I gotta get everything, you know.
Mhm.
Everything they put out, I want to own it.
Yeah, I remember back in the day looking for, I remember going to some record stores and but back then you couldn't get the B-sides. Well,
Right.
you'd have to buy the
You have to buy
singles,
the single, right?
but you would find a lot of these European imports, like Do, and you could get buy the British copy and there'd be a 40, an unreleased track on side B. But a lot of those came out here too, because what was it on? What was, God help me? What was one of the unreleased tracks that came out on Ghost? Oh, shoot,
Let
I
me
can't
look.
remember. It's on the box set, but hell, it could have fit on Ghost in the Machine easily.
Yeah.
But there were some unreleased, B-sides. But that was cool about the Police. They
Hmm.
would put out B-sides on their singles.
Was
So,
it Low Life? Maybe? No.
no.
Bell?
Yeah,
I don't know. Who knows?
who knows? I can't remember, but check it out. That's all I'm saying.
It's worth. I mean, this is all the work that we did is all right here. All the record stores we
Right.
went to, collecting everything. It's all just right there. So, like you said,
Mhm.
go get it if you can find it for a good price. Go get it. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, there's not much more I can say about the Police. One of my favorite bands. And with this is like you said, this is our ranking as of today. Could change tomorrow. You know, and I'm sure we'll get lots of comments like, "What are you crazy?" But it's just like any kind of ranking, you're going to get those. So,
Yeah.
and it's okay. We're just here to talk about the records. We're just
Hey,
talking
we're
about
just here talking music, Tom. That's all we're
right.
doing.
That's what we're here for. So, so Grant, thanks again for joining me tonight. I really
Oh, this
appreciate
is
it.
fun.
Really enjoyed having you on the channel.
Hey, it's always fun to talk about the Police.
Yeah, it is. It is. I never tire of it. So anyway, I guess I'll wrap it up here. Thanks again for my guest Grant. Appreciate everything you had. I mean, I feel like I repeated everything he said. But because we're obviously on the same page with this band. But thanks again for watching. If you're still hanging with us, and I always forget to say this, but like and subscribe, please. And we'll, support the channel. We'll have more of this type of content coming at you. So thanks again and good night.
See ya. Thanks.